This lesson is on absolute value inequalities. The goal is to solve and graph inequalities involving absolute value. What you should understand by the end of this lesson is that you can write an absolute value inequality as a compound inequality without absolute value symbols. A compound inequality is written like an and or inequality that we solved before. All right, here is the meaning, how we set them up, and how we graph them. When we write our inequalities, write them with the absolute value on the left and the variable on the right. If the absolute value is less than the variable, it is an and inequality, and we graph it like a barbell, 2 points that are combined, whether it's open circle or closed circle. When we write the compound inequality, we could write it like that, or we can write it as x is greater than the negative number and x is less than the variable. So x is less than this, or x is greater than the negative. We'll look at some examples. When it is an or, if the absolute value is greater than the variable, it is an or, where we have 2 points and the arrows point away from each other, whether they're open circles or closed circles. This means the distance from x to 0 is greater than that many units, which means it's less than the negative. So we would write it as x is less than the negative or greater than the positive. Notice it's an or. So I'm going to do a couple of these examples so you can see how we write them. All right, here's the first example. It says solve for y and graph the solution. Now the problem says 5 is greater than or equal to the absolute value of y plus 4. Remember I said we want the absolute value on the left and the number on the right. So I'm going to rewrite this with the absolute value on the left and the number on the right. All right, so I have y plus 4 is less than or equal to 5. Notice my pointy end was pointed to the y, so when I rewrote it, it's still pointed to the y. Now because the absolute value was less than 5, or less than the number, it is an and inequality. So I write this one, and then I write y plus 4 is greater than or equal to negative 5. Remember, this is an and, so it's going to be barbells. Or I'm going to graph 2 points and connect them. So I subtract 4, and I'm going to do that all the way across. Then I have y is less than or equal to 1. Y is greater than or equal to negative 9. So y is less than or equal to 1. I make a circle there. It's greater than or equal to negative 9. I put that there. And I connect my dots because it is an and inequality. Let's try another one. And if you're not sure what I did, rewatch this example again. All right, the second example is the absolute value of r minus 3 is greater than or equal to 5. Because the absolute value is already on the left, I don't have to rewrite it. Because the absolute value is greater than the number, it is an OR inequality. When it is an OR inequality, I know that my points, I'm going to graph my 2 points, and the arrows will point in opposite directions. So I'm going to write my 2 inequalities before I graph them. All right, so I have r minus 3 is greater than or equal to 5, and r minus 3 is less than or equal to negative 5. So my first step is to add 3. And I'm going to do that and add 3 all the way across. You can do this one equation at a time, or you can do it all the way across like this. 5 plus 3 is 8. My 3's cancel out. Negative 5 plus 3 is negative 2. So now I have my 2 numbers. Because my inequality symbols are underlined, I know they're closed circles. I have one at 8. I have one at negative 2. And again, because it is an OR inequality, my arrows are pointing in opposite directions. So those are the 2 solutions for that inequality. Again, if you're not sure what I did, watch it again. Now you're going to get ready to do yours. Here's your first practice problem. Solve for p and graph the solution. 5 is greater than the absolute value of p plus 3. Stop the video and work the practice problem out now. Practice 2. The absolute value of s plus 1 is less than or equal to 4. Again, stop the video and solve the practice problem now. Practice 3. Solve for t and graph the solution. 30 is less than the absolute value of t plus 910. Stop the video and solve the practice problem now. Alright, my next couple examples I'm going to show you are just a little more difficult, but they're just basically the same things. Now remember, before I said when you work out an absolute value equation or inequality, you need to make sure you have nothing but the absolute value before you start setting it up. So if you notice, on this inequality, I have this plus 3. So I need to subtract it before I start. So I'm going to subtract the 3 from both sides, and 7 minus 3 is 4. So I'm going to start out with 4 is less than or equal to s minus 95. I'm going to rewrite this with the absolute value on the left-hand side. Okay, here I've rewritten it. It's s minus 95 is greater than or equal to 4. I wrote it with the greater than or equal to because the larger end of the inequality sign up here was pointed towards the s. So it's pointed toward the s below when I rewrote it and when I flipped it around. Because the absolute value is greater than the number, it is an OR inequality. So I'm going to write it this way, and the other one is going to be s minus 95 is less than or equal to negative 4. Which means I'm going to add 95 to both sides. And I end up with s is greater than or equal to 99, and s is less than or equal to 91. Because it's an or Well, first of all, because the inequality symbols are underlined, they're closed circles. So I'm going to make one at 99 and one at 91. And then because it's an OR inequality, that means the arrows point outward. And S is greater than 99, S is less than 91. Here's my next example. The absolute value of negative 2w minus 70 is less than or equal to 50. Now the absolute value is already on the left, so I don't have to, all I have to do is rewrite it without the absolute value symbol. Alright, here's the problem. It's negative 2w minus 70 is less than or equal to 50. Because the absolute value is less than the number, it is an AND problem, so it's going to be 2 points connected together. So the one that I'm going to write on the other side is negative 2w minus 70 is greater than or equal to negative 50. The first step is to add 70 to both sides. And I'll do it all the way across. The 70s are canceled. I have negative 2w is less than or equal to 120, and negative 2w is greater than or equal to 20. Now I'm going to divide by negative 2, and when I divide by a negative number, I have to flip the symbol of inequality. So those are canceled out. So I'm going to end up with w is greater than or equal to negative 60, and w is less than or equal to 10. And it's negative 10. All right, so I have my two numbers, negative 60, negative 10. It is an AND problem, so they are connected together. It was w is greater than or equal to negative 60, and w was less than or equal to negative 10. I've graphed it, connected my 2 points, and that's the answer. Now it's your turn. Practice 4. The absolute value of r plus 52 plus 8 is less than or equal to 10. Please make sure you get rid of the 8 before you start your problem. Stop the video and solve the problem now. Practice 5. 0 is greater than or equal to r plus 5, the absolute value of r plus 5 minus 1. Stop the video and solve the practice problem now. And practice 6. The absolute value of negative p minus 800 is greater than or equal to 15. Stop the video and do the practice problem now. All right, where are you on the scale of understanding on this lesson? Are you at 1 beginning, 2 learning, 3 understanding, or 4 expert? Make sure that you mark this on your daily goal sheet and get ready to do your IXL lesson. And that's the end of this lesson. Bye.